Hey there, romance nerds! Today I've got a slam dunk of an episode for you. If you've ever wanted an episode where I talk about something I barely have any knowledge about and I am terrible at in real life, this is going to be right up your alley. This should be pretty hilarious, honestly, so let's get our heads in the game and score!
Get your head in the game, gotta get
No, that's not the music we need. Real music!
Intro here.
So I'm Jen. I am an outreach librarian here at Northern Onondaga Public Library.
And I'm Jackie. I am the Adult Services Librarian at North Syracuse Library.
But both of us do Raging Romantics.
Yeah.
Hey.
Part-time podcasters.
But we get paid.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We always draw it back, but I guess we're trying to be a little bit of a white knight for romance in this instance. And we're trying to get more people to realize it's not just shirtless men on the covers.
We just want to go off with romance into the sunset.
Yes.
Yes. No, but we do want to take it seriously and critically and more positively than...
We want to make our 8th grade English teachers proud of us.
So it's something that started during COVID because we found ourselves locked out of the library. I obviously was not doing a lot of outreach because I did not want to get infected by something. It would have been really embarrassing to have died from a germy child. Jackie too was not, still had a lot to do, but there was still kind of some empty time in the day. We had a lot of time at home. We were missing our romance book club between the covers, which we had been doing since 2018. And we were kind of like, you know what? Let's put all of this time and all of these interests together and kind of do like a little podcast that we ended up calling Raging Romantics from an email, really.
Jen and I, part of the podcast that we don't ever explicitly say, but we always do, is we like to look at the psychology of things and like sociology and like why we find things so attractive and why we want to read these books. And I'm actually going to address this really strongly in our upcoming podcast, which is going to be Christmas trees and lumberjacks.
Okay.
You'd be surprised what I have gone into.
With lumberjacks?
Yeah.
I could see that actually, because there is like a lumberjack resurgence right now.
And there's a huge issue, like not issue, but well, there is an issue with it actually. But, and so people, when they think of romance, they think, oh, it's just straight up, it's smut. It's trash. It's just
For
genre fiction. Bored housewives, mommy porn, all that stuff that you hear.
Unfulfilled housewives.
You roll your eyes at. But in reality, it's deeply rooted in a lot of things that go on in our nation, in our culture, and sociology, psychology, and all this stuff. And Jen and I have been diving really deeply into it with a lot of our late episodes, and it's really fun.
And I have been reading so many Christmas tree farm romances this year, so many being like 4, that I want to talk about Christmas tree farms, and I have been diving into the history of the Christmas tree.
I can't wait a whole hour.
It's actually really interesting.
Okay, I believe you. I won't be so cynical.
I contacted my ecology friend, my environmental specialist friend. I was like, hey, Adam, shout out to Adam. I was like, what can you tell me about Christmas trees? And he gave me like a bunch of information, so.
All right, well, I am actually looking forward to that. I will try not to be too grumpy about the season.
I'm going to give you a book to read.
Okay.
It's a romance book, obviously.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
I feel like, don't give me a tree book.
No, I'm keeping the Christmas tree book for myself.
Okay, perfect.
But romance is so fun because it is so diverse and there's a little bit of something for everybody. And I am an old school romantic. I love love. And to be able to read about like relationships and how people work through their issues and like talk to each other and communication and like all these exciting things that can happen in a romance novel, I think is really, it's just heartwarming. Even though I'm a cynic, I'm an old romantic, so. I think we've actually talked about this on the podcast, was different influences that have happened in the romance community, in Romancelandia throughout like the past 10, 15 years, with 50 Shades of Grey and e-readers getting so popular, kind of being like a seminal moment. And then we start seeing a lot of indie books getting picked up with that kind of like new adult romance genre that came through, and like a resurgence of paranormal tropes like vampires and werewolves getting so popular during this period. And I think that compounded with the recent social media success that romance has had, and especially spicy romance has been having, like with Ruby Dixon, Katie Robert, monster romance, like all that stuff that has really, like Jen said, people are finding their communities through social media and through talking about it more openly. That I think that has really been just kind of everything all together has brought us to this wonderful romance moment we're in now.
I feel like growing up, I read a lot of really depressing literature about women like dying and suffering, and maybe that's my own fault. Maybe if I'd had more of a hopeful pool to draw from, I wouldn't have been attracted to romance so much. But I do love that it does center women's romantic inner lives in a way that a lot of other fiction kind of disregards. Because on one hand, librarians are still very trusted for the most part. I mean, it depends on the part of the country currently, if you don't know about the current climate. But so I think that does give us kind of an air of authority. I have 2 degrees, Jackie has 3. I mean, obviously we're very smart and educated, but we can still be total idiots. So it's just kind of a nice combination of like every aspect of our lives that comes together really beautifully into this podcast that
Yeah.
I care a lot about. Thank you again to all of our beloved Romance Nerd listeners.
We love you.
We've had such a good year with you, and we are really looking forward to ending it on a smash.
Christmas. All right, Jen. Well, what do we always say?
Range on!
Bye, guys.